Hey, English tenors. Welcome to week 2 of distance learning. I know week 1 was kind of rough with Schoology and the bumps in the road that we all went through. I was frustrated, you were frustrated. Um, Keeping that in mind in the future as we go through here, if there are technical issues, can't turn an assignment in, can't access Schoology, whatever the case is, just relax, walk away, come back later in the day, early evening to finish up whatever you need to finish up. Um, Email me, message me, text me through Remind if you're having issues, and I will help you any way that I can. Okay, but don't get frustrated. Don't throw your hands up in the air and just give up. All right. One other thing I'd like to just real briefly talk about is again this idea of social distancing, and I know that we hear it every single day on TV, news, whatever, on the internet. We see it. I guess in keeping that in mind, the reason that we're doing that is to stop the spread of the disease and stop, as best we can, slow it down. And the more that we practice social distancing, the more that we stay at home and stay away from big groups of people, the sooner we get back to life as normal. All right. The sooner we get back to school, the sooner we get back to our sports, the sooner that we get back to just life, going out to restaurants, things like that. So just please do your part in this whole thing, and yeah, just take care of that. All right. One thing I do want to just quickly go over is I have one contact information piece to update you on, and that is my phone number. So if you feel like you need to give me a call, or if a parent needs to give me a call, or you want to schedule an appointment, a phone call or whatever, here is the phone number to use. It's changed since earlier this week when I had that kind of welcome video. But here's the phone number to call. You can call or text that number, and I will get back to you. All right? Okay. So let's get down into our kind of the assignment for this week. And we are in chapter 2 of Mice and Men. You're reading that, April 9th is a Thursday because we have Easter break coming up. So you got a 4-day weekend coming up. So we're in chapter 2, and of course, do the notes assignment first. Okay? Click into the Nearpod assignments. If you're in first hour, do first hour, 6 hour, do 6 hour. But do the notes assignment first so you have an idea of what to expect. All right? Next, the 2 ways that you can read it. Do one or the other. All right? So if you want to just read on your iPad on Schoology and answer the questions, there's questions multiple choice questions. You would choose this assignment. Open it up, read, answer the questions, send me, submit the finished questions in the assignment box. Or click here and you can do the Ed puzzle where you listen to it, you follow along on the video, and then you're answering the questions that are embedded in the video. All right? And then you'll have a quiz to do for chapter 2. Now, with quizzes in mind, if you get bumped out of a quiz, Schoology does that, right? You start a quiz, it bumps you out, click submit, and then send me a message, hey, I got kicked out, and I will go in and I'll reset your quiz so you can finish it up. All right? So with chapter 2, I just want to talk about kind of what this chapter is. We got through chapter 1 where we meet George and Lenny. We hear about their American dream. They want to own the farm. There's a lot of foreshadowing, right? Something went wrong in Weed, and George told Lenny, if something goes bad, you come back to this clearing, right? So now we move into the next day. So chapter 2 is the next day, the next morning, and George and Lenny get to the ranch, okay? So this, again, it starts off, the first paragraph is John Steinbeck using some phenomenal description of describing that scene at the ranch, okay? We meet Candy, who's he's an old ranch hand, okay? He's an old guy, he's got a kind of a stump arm. We meet Candy, and in this chapter we hear a couple of uses of the N-word to describe Crooks, the black stable hand, okay? Pay attention to the way that Candy uses the N-word and try to figure out, is he using it in a mean way or in just a matter-of-fact way, all right? George and Lenny go and meet the boss. Now, there's going to be 3 meetings in this chapter. George and Lenny meet the boss, they meet Curly, and they meet Slim. And all 3 of these guys kind of question George and Lenny's relationship. All right, so pay attention to how they question the relationship. So they meet the boss, and of course George does all the talking, except Lenny opens his mouth once, and the boss is really like doesn't understand the relationship. The boss thinks George is taking Lenny's money, which isn't the case, of course. All right. So then they leave. They leave the boss. They leave the boss and they go to the bunkhouse. And they're in the bunkhouse and they meet Curly. We get introduced to Curly. Now Curly's a short guy. He's got a bit of short man's syndrome, right? He's got a short temper. He likes to fight big guys. He likes to pick fights with bigger guys to kind of prove himself. And he's a fighter. He's a boxer, so he can handle himself. And right away he's sizing up Lenny, right? Right away he's questioning Lenny. And he's sizing him up and looking at Lenny because Lenny's a big guy. Now Curly also questions George and Lenny's relationship. And he kind of looks at George and Lenny is like, oh, so it's that way, huh? Something like that. So you kind of have to interpret, what does Curly mean by that? Does he think that they're together? I don't know. Okay? But after Curly leaves the bunkhouse, Lenny says something that is pretty insightful. Lenny says, this is a bad place. I want to leave. Let's get out of here, George. And George's like, no, we can't. We got to get our stake, right? We got to earn our money to get our dream farm, right? That whole interaction with Curly, between Lenny and Curly, is foreshadowing of something that's going to happen later, right? George tells Lenny if Curly does anything, first, George tells him, leave Curly alone. Don't talk to him, stay away from him. But if he does something, let him have it. All right? Foreshadowing. Then, and of course, George then mentions again, and this is important. Again, this is foreshadowing. George tells Lenny, if anything bad happens, go to the clearing. Okay? So just keep that filed back in your brain. Then we meet Curly's wife. Okay? She comes in, and of course, Candy was telling George and Lenny about her, how she's a rat trap, she's a tart, and this and that. Curly's wife comes in and is kind of flirty and this and that, and she's asking if they've seen Curly, this and that, and anyway. And Lenny says, Curly's wife leaves. Lenny says, oh, she was pretty. He says it a couple different times. And George kind of lights into Lenny and says, you leave her alone. You don't talk to her. She's nothing but a rat trap, that kind of stuff. Again, Lenny does not like the ranch. He has a bad feeling about the ranch. Then we meet some of the other guys. Towards the end of the chapter, we meet Slim. Now, Slim also questions George and Lenny's relationship. And he says, boy, you don't see 2 guys traveling around. I don't know why. And he gets it. He understands it. He understands that they kind of have a different relationship, that they have something that other guys don't. Okay. Then we find out we meet Carlson, another guy that works at the ranch. But then we also hear that Slim's dog has puppies. And of course, Lenny will love a puppy. Okay. And this is a big part that leads up to other things later in the chapter, or in the book, is that Lenny wants a puppy. Okay. And that's pretty much where it ends. And then there's the last paragraph in the chapter. Is kind of, Curly comes into an empty bunkhouse, and there's just Candy's old dog laying there. Candy's got this old, decrepit, smelly, stinky, the dog is on its deathbed, right? And it's just, there's no talk. Curly's just looking around. The dog raises his head and then lays back down. I don't know if it means anything. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I just liked how that ended. So anyway, that's chapter 2 of Mice and Men. Pay attention to those things. Get the questions done. And then you'll have the quiz that'll be open probably Thursday. I'll open it up on Thursday. It'll be open for about 5 days to go in and get that taken care of. So, all right. Last thing, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Take care of your friends. All right, take care, English tenors.